It was later part of May. Tess participates in the village May Day dance, where she meets Angel Clare, youngest son of Reverend James Clare, who is on a walking tour. He stops to join the dance and partners several other girls. Angel notices Tess too late to dance with her, as he is already late for a promised meeting with his brothers. Tess feels slighted. It was the same day that Tess' father, John Dorbyfield, is given the impression by Parson Tringham that he may have noble blood, since Dorbyfield is a corruption of the Orberville, the surname of a noble Norman family, then extinct. The news immediately goes to John's head. On the following night, Tess' father gets too drunk to drive to the market, so Tess undertakes the journey together with his brother, Abraham. However, she falls asleep at the reins, and the family's only horse encounters a speeding wagon and is fatally wounded, causing its death. Tess feels so guilty over the horse's death that she agrees, against her better judgment, to visit Mrs. d'Auberville, a rich widow who lives in the nearby town of Tuntridge, and claim kin. Tess does not succeed in meeting Mrs. d'Auberville, but chances to meet her Luritan son Alec, who takes a fancy to her. Tess dislikes Alec but endures his persistent unwanted attention to earn enough to replace her family's horse. The threat that Alex presents to Tess's virtue is obscured for Tess by her inexperience and almost daily commonplace interactions with him. After a night celebration while walking home from town with some other Tuntridge villagers, Tess inadvertently antagonizes Cardart, Alex's most recently discarded favorite, and finds herself in physical danger. Alec passes by and offers to rescue her from the situation, and she accepts. Instead of taking her home, he brings Tess through the forest until they reach an ancient grove called the Chase, where he informs her that he is lost and leaves on foot to get his bearings. Tess stays behind and falls asleep on a coat he lent her. And when Alec returns, he rapes Tess. The following summer, She gives birth to a sickly boy who lives only a few weeks. On his last night alive, Tess baptizes him herself because her father would not allow the parson to visit, stating that he didn't want the parson to pry into their affairs, with things being as they are. The child is given the name Sorrow, and Tess arranges his burial in the shabby corner of the churchyard reserved for unbaptized infants. More than 2 years after the tentage failure, Tess, now 20, has found employment outside the village, where her past is not known. She works for Mr. and Mrs. Creek as a milkmaid at Talbot Hayes Dairy. There, she befriends three of her fellow milkmaids, Iz, Riti, and Marian, and meets again Angel Clare, now an apprentice farmer who has come to Talbot Hayes to learn dairy management. Although the other milkmaids are in love with him, Angel singles out Tess, and the two fall in love. As the marriage approaches, Tess grows increasingly troubled. She writes to her mother for advice. Joanne tells her to keep silent about her past. Tess, deciding to tell Angel the truth, writes a letter describing her dealings with the Orberville and slips it under his door. When Angel greets her with the usual affection the next morning, she thinks he has forgiven her. Later, she discovers the letter under his carpet and realizes that he has not seen it. The wedding goes smoothly, apart from the bad omen of a cock crowing in the afternoon. Tess and Angel spend their wedding night at an old D'Orberville family mansion, where Angel presents his bride with diamonds that belong to his godmother. When he confesses that he once had a brief affair with an older woman in London, Tess is moved to tell Angel about Alec, thinking he will understand and forgive. Angel is appalled by the revelation and makes it clear that Tess is reduced in his eyes. He spends the wedding night on a sofa. After a few awkward days, a devastated Tess suggests they separate, saying that she will return to her parents. Angel gives her some money and promises to try to reconcile himself to her past, but warns her not to try to join him until he sends for her. Tess returns home for a time, but finding this unbearable, decides to join Marian at a starved acre farm called Flencombosch. At the farm, the former milkmaids perform hard physical labor. Alec and Tess are each shaken by their encounter, and Alec begs Tess never to tempt him again as they stand beside an ill-omened stone monument called the Cross in Hand. However, Alec soon comes to Flincombe Ash to ask Tess to marry him. She tells him she is already married. He returns at Candlemas and again in early spring, when Tess is hard at work feeding a threshing machine. Tess then learns from her sister, Lisa Lou, that her father John is ill and that her mother is dying. Tess rushes home to look after them. Her mother soon recovers, but her father unexpectedly dies. The family is evicted from their home, as D'Orberville held only a life class on their cottage. Alec tells Tess that her husband is never coming back and offers to house the Dorby-Fields on his estate. Tess refuses his assistance. Angel sets out to find Tess and eventually locates Joanne, now well dressed and living in a pleasant cottage. After responding evasively to his inquiries, she tells him Tess has gone to live in Sanborn. There, he finds Tess living in an expensive boarding house under the name Mrs. d'Orberville. When he asks for her, she appears in startlingly elegant attire and stands aloof. He tenderly asks her forgiveness, but Tess, in anguish, tells him he has come too late, thinking he would never return. She yielded at last to Alec d'Orberville's persuasion and has become his mistress. She gently asked Angel to leave and never come back. He departs and Tess returns to her bedroom, where she falls to her knees and begins a lamentation. She blames Alec for causing her to lose Angel's love a second time, accusing Alec of having lied when he said that Angel would never return to her. The landlady, Mrs. Brooks, tries to listen in at the keyhole, but withdraws hastily when the argument becomes heated. She later sees Tess leave the house, then notices a spreading red spot, a blood stain on the ceiling. She summons help, and Alec is found stabbed to death in his bed. Angel, totally disheartened, has left Sanborn. Tess hurries after him and tells him that she has killed Alec, saying that she hopes she has won his forgiveness by murdering the man who ruined both their lives. Angel doesn't believe her at first, but grants his forgiveness and tells her that he loves her. Rather than head for the coast, they walk inland, vaguely planning to hide somewhere until the search for Tess is ended and they can escape abroad from a port. They find an empty mansion and stay there for 5 days in blissful happiness until their presence is discovered one day by the cleaning woman. They continue walking and in the middle of the night stumble upon Stonehenge, where Tess lies down to rest on an ancient altar. Before she falls asleep, she asks Angel to look after her younger sister, Eliza Lou, saying that she hopes Angel will marry her after she is dead. At dawn, Angel sees that they are surrounded by police. He finally realizes that Tess really has committed murder and asks the man in a whisper to let her awaken naturally before they arrest her.
You're a falling star, you're the getaway car, you're the line in the sand when I go too far. You're the swimming pool on an August day, and you're the perfect thing to say. And you play it coy, but it's kinda cute. Oh, when you smile at me, you know exactly what you do. Baby, don't pretend that you don't know it's true, 'cause you can see it when I look at you. And in this crazy life,